Hello, Steph.
Hello, Neen.
Welcome to Fridays with Nin, everybody.
Ooh, it's my
First one
first
of the
time
year.
singing it. Fridays with Neen. Fridays with Neen. Every day is Fridays with
Wow.
Neen.
Wow.
I ain't retiring it.
I love it.
Sorry.
And I love your background. It's
Thank
giving
you.
Saved by the Bell vibes.
Thank you. See,
Hmm.
only you would get it.
Yes. I love it. Is that a background on Zoom?
No, I downloaded it.
I'm scared of you right now. Oh my God, I love it.
One of the
That's
little,
so funny because on my wall, so remember yesterday I told you I was going to do trying to replicate my room from the 90s, right?
yes,
But I also was thinking if I didn't do that, that I would do that type of graphic,
like
like
paint.
painted on the wall.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still, I have time, but for now, I'll just allow this to catch my dreams.
I love what you have going on actually, because I love green. I
Hmm.
associate green with you too. Is green one of your favorite
Aw.
colors?
It is, especially a
Nice.
nice olive green.
Oh,
Mm,
dude, I love green. Okay, I don't
right?
know. I just it goes with everything. It's amazing. Like when I
Mm-hmm.
think of like interior design, it's always greens and we love grays and like stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I love what you have going on. I
Totally.
love the dream catcher color
Thank you.
contrast with the
Mm-hmm.
wall. So yes.
Oh, thank you. I know. I was just like, I just love color. I
Yeah.
swear, if I could, every room would be a different color, and that would
Mm.
just be a hot mess.
No, it would be so amazing. I mean, I might paint my glam room pink. Let's see what Angel
Oh,
says.
oh my God, that'd be fantastic. Oh,
Ah,
I just love it. And you know what I love too is how wallpaper's coming back.
right? No, and like not just wallpaper, but like the sticky kind, like the one
Mm-hmm.
that you can like if you're renting, you could get
Oh
it because you
yeah.
could just take it off cleanly. I might go that route actually for
Mm-hmm.
the glam room. Maybe do a little
Yes.
Victoria's Secret pink and
Oh,
white stripes. I don't know. But
stop it.
I love it. But I also kind of, I have a curtain like in there, so I have a
Mm-hmm.
clean background. I kind of want to get a personalized Totally 90s podcast one and have that be the backdrop.
Yes. Oh my God,
So
that
I
would be
don't know.
amazing. I know, and that's what I had told Tony is I want something to signify our podcast. And
Yeah.
like, oh shoot, I forgot the sign.
I saw
Okay.
the sign. No, I didn't.
Next time I'm gonna put it up. But okay, anyways. But I wanted to do something. I was like, can I create something like to
Yes,
where it's like a sign, you know? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
you
what
totally
we're.
can. I mean, you still have the oceanscape, right? The one that you
Oh,
painted.
oh yeah, that
Okay.
puppy ain't coming down
No, it
until we
ain't.
move.
No. So you can do totally nice. I already can envision what you're gonna do in that space. Although I freaking love the green. So I'm like, I don't want to
I
encourage
could
it too
totally keep
much.
the green and just like make like kind of like a cloud with totally
Ooh.
90s in it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. One day it'll just
Okay.
be like bam,
I
you know?
know. I love that about you. It just hits you and then you're like, oh, hold on. Let me go do
Yes.
this.
I know. I know. I love like decorating. And Presley yesterday, after we finished this, and she was feeling better, and she comes in, she goes, "Oh my gosh, Mama! Like, you totally are an interior designer."
Oh,
I was like, "Stop it! Thank you."
what a
She's like, "I don't
baby.
know if I could ever do like you." I go, "Of
Oh,
course you can." I was like, "Just you got to be creative." And that's the thing with her is like I want her to like explore her creativity and not like try and tell her, "Oh no, you can't do that or you can't do this," you know? Because I feel like with your room, it's like the part of you that when you're little, it allows you to just show who you are, right?
totally. Totally.
So,
Oh my
yeah.
God. And when you said that, it brought me back to my cream furniture that all
Oh,
matched. And I
oh
tried to
my
make it
God.
my own as I got older because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't cheap, right? So like it,
Mm-hmm.
it it went with me through my teens. And I tried so hard to personalize on and around it with
Mm-hmm.
posters. I mean, posters, first of all, thank you, the 90s, for
Mm-hmm.
posters. Posters are making a comeback too. I'm seeing
Yes.
them all over.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just an amazing way to show who you are, like
Oh
music,
yeah.
movies, Legends of the Fall posters,
Mm.
model, Antonio Spaldo Jr.
Yes.
posters, Spice Girls. Remember my Spice Girl
Okay.
room? Oh,
Oh my
I keep getting
gosh.
to have that stuff
You
back.
knew how to decorate. I loved your room with your posters, but I
I
also
loved your
loved
room.
no, but I loved the what was it? I don't know what you would call it. Like not an armoire.
The dresser with the mirror on
With
top.
the no, with the shelves. You
Oh,
had
the
one.
hutch on my
Yes.
desk. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh.
Let's bring back the hutch, people.
Can we? Because man, it just had so many things that the way you, I don't know, I just loved it. I loved how you deck. I loved your room at your grandma's
I did too.
with
I
the
loved
window.
it. Oh my God. The window that you could easily sneak in and out of because that was the
Mm-hmm.
thing to do in the 90s, though. I think I only
Totally.
ever did that once just for fun because I'm too honest. Like, I'm gonna sneak
Oh
out the
my gosh.
window, Mom. Can't even do that, right?
I love it. Yes, that was amazing. You told, was it, who was Annie? Did Annie sneak out with it?
No,
Or what did she do? You guys
she fell
tripped
down the stairs.
down the stairs.
Because
That
those
was it.
stairs, if you'll remember, were lethal.
That's for sure. I don't even know how those are even like up to code with
I
if
don't
it's
think they are
slippery and
shiny,
wet.
like, what is that, marble? Like, I don't even know. It
Uh-huh.
was like, yeah.
Well, and two, like a lot of the homes in San Francisco are like it like that, and they have those stairs that are like turn like a spiral,
Yeah,
you
it's
know, and
just a
they're
bad
narrow. Yeah.
situation.
Mm-mm. No, that's just asking for a broken hip
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how my
or
grandparents
neck,
did that. And then the
right?
back stairs going down to the other way, like the indoor
Mm.
stairs, they
Mm-hmm.
were even slimmer and they did a
Oh, yes.
you know.
Exactly. And they were high,
Yeah, they were.
like danger all around.
Yeah.
It ain't pretty. I mean, obviously, senior citizens weren't
No, but
involved in the making of these.
my grandma would insist on cooking for me even when I like moved in with an
Hmm.
ex, like or two exes. God. But she would bring down dinner.
Yeah, I remember. She's
Yeah.
funny. That was funny. But you know what though? When you get to a certain age, you get more careful. And she
Yeah.
probably like your biggest fear is falling.
She was very spry though. She's like my dad, and that's not
Yeah.
his mom. Like my dad, I again, I'm still shocked that the actually I'm not shocked. I'm proud. He just doesn't hurt himself. I'm like, father, like today I banged my freaking head. Like I was watering the
Oh.
plants and the ledge like
Uh-huh.
that separates the foyer from the sink. I went
Mm-hmm. No.
bump. But like that's some shit that he wouldn't do. Ow.
That's crazy. Because you know what? I do everything in my power to not hurt myself, and it still happens. That's a
So
talent, actually.
maybe because we're so scared of like getting injured, maybe we this year just no, I'm scared to even do that. Because like the
You're
two
not
days ago,
care.
like what I'm scared of? Spraining my ankle. Or when it folds
Girl.
over. So I just did that like the other day and I was like, or
No.
like we're walking and I'm wearing like my booties that have heel.
Oh
I guess I'm
no.
wearing heels sometimes. But like I'm
What?
walking and then I trip and my ankle folded over. And then
Ew.
that
No.
feeling and that fear, like one more, and then it could just completely snap in half if you
Ugh.
think about it. But I'm able to like, I don't know, I guess I have core strength somewhere. I'm able to like, oh my God. Or like in the shower, if you slip and I'm like, oh, like my abs just like
Oh.
activate.
Oh.
But that's precisely why I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying so hard to prepare now.
Mm-hmm.
No, I should have been in my 30s, but like preparing and strengthening my body now so that way I can bounce back. God forbid something happens to me. I'm weird.
Well, no, no, I get it. Because, all it does take, look at my freaking knee. I'm
How
still
is
limping
your
around
knee?
like
I'm
Sarah
like,
limps a lot.
oh, mean.
It's horrible.
So like,
Like, I can, once it warms up,
oh,
then I'm walking,
so you're like a
right?
Buick. You got to give it a few minutes and warm up the car
Ugh,
before you take it out for a spin.
completely. But
I
there's still like a kink in my knee. So, like, I walk around like it's a fake leg. Like for real. Because it's to where I don't even realize it because it's just, I'm used to it now. And the doctor, I went last week, the doctor was like, you're fine. I was like, and he's like, we're not going to look into injections or anything because he goes, if you think about it, you've only been hurt for like, this has only been 2 months. He's like, sometimes
only.
ligament pain can take up to 6 months to get better. He's like, ligaments sometimes take the longest. And like, honestly, that's why I said I don't want a broken leg, but it probably would have been better, easier to recover
Oh
because
shit.
that takes like 4 to 8 weeks, whereas ligaments could take up to 6 months. Like, so he goes, everything you're telling me, the burning, all this stuff, that's normal. I'm like, so he goes, if you see like you're taking a step back and you're going in reverse, he's like, then give me a call. He's like, bud, you're getting better. Your mobility is fine. Like he stretched my leg up and down, sideways, everywhere, backwards, and it was fine. So he goes, you have good mobility. He's like, you definitely have your arthritis is worse.
Oh
I'm like, okay,
shit.
where do I sign up for AARP? Like,
Oh,
come
oh,
on.
you mean to tell me you haven't been getting those damn emails on your birthday? Because why am I? Like the
What?
hell?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh,
Yes. I
no.
hit like I think it was when I turned 41, I got my first one. I'm like, seriously?
Oh, I
Give
can't.
a
No.
girl a minute. Like, let
Yeah,
me at
give
least
me
reach 45
for
before you start
real.
tormenting me.
Yeah, for real. That's an insult,
Uh-huh.
you know? And I'm just like, I don't know. So I'm just dealing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, if I smell like Ben Gay and I'm in your presence, you know why.
It's okay, girl. I smell like icy hot half the time. So we'll make such an amazing like combo.
Yes, we will. Oh my
We'll clear somebody's
gosh.
sinus cavities.
It does smell good though. It's
It
not like
really
it smells
does.
bad, but
No.
it's just like I really don't want to go down that route right now. You know? It's like it's too early.
I know. It's okay. You still have a
But
baby face, so
oh, thanks.
you'll always have your skin.
Oh, stop. Although for some reason, my earphones, I can only hear out of one ear.
Oh,
That's
uh-oh.
so annoying.
The
So,
hearing's already going.
see, when we started talking about this, it's just
Ugh.
like giving me a heads up of how it's gonna feel in like 10 years.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
Yeah, let's get out of this depression slump.
Yes, exactly. Let's do this. So today we're going to talk on Fridays with Nin. We're going to talk about, well, so today is Tony and our anniversary. It's our 10-year
Happy
anniversary.
anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Like, honestly, I think I told you this the other day when we were talking. Like this anniversary is way more important than our wedding anniversary. It's the 10-year mark, and I don't know, it's just honestly, it's the longest relationship I've ever had. I've never had a
Really
relationship
longer?
that has the first one, no, I think it was 8 or 9 years.
Wow. But
Yeah.
still.
So, and it's just like, I don't know, something about a 10-year and like
Yeah.
what we've gone through has really, I'm like, okay, this is something we need to
It's
celebrate. So
huge.
it is. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about our love story.
Ooh.
But
Oh, no
the
sex.
whole no, not this one. Maybe a late night podcast or something. But basically to just like talk about also like the whole premise of it is like believing in a happy ending, like when it's meant for you, you know, good things will happen when it's meant to be, or you can't push things, you can't force things. And that's something through this that I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And also like how I've never been heartbroken in my life. And the one person that I love the most is the one person that crushed my heart. And I was still able to get past that and love him even more because of it.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so I'm going to tell you our story and then we could chat about it. Interject stuff if you have a question, or if you any commentary, you could interrupt me anytime.
Okay.
Um so as you know, I've been a little bit hesitant though to talk about it because our story, there are a lot of different factors. So I'm just basically going to keep it on our side. I'm not going to talk really much about other things
Third
that,
party
yeah,
problems.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Ain't got time for that. We even recorded an episode, months back and I had talked about it, but for some reason I just didn't feel comfortable releasing it. And of course, you're amazing and you're like, "Hey, I don't want you to ever record anything that you don't feel comfortable with," right?
Of course.
And being that it's our 10th anniversary today, for some reason I felt like it was something that I wanted to do.
Okay.
So, um you know, I don't know. So let me start off with the fact that, as we all know, I've been divorced before, right? So I was divorced and, I've experienced a breakup, all this other stuff. But after a divorce, I feel like sometimes you get in this mode where you're like, I'm never going to get married again.
Mhm.
Like, you feel like you don't believe in love, you
Mhm.
know, none of that. And I was going through that for quite some time. And, it was funny. I was looking in my pictures last night when I was looking at photos that I wanted to post on Instagram. And I was picking pictures from every year. And it was so crazy, some of the stuff that I found. First and foremost, I want to thank like you and my friends, but you especially because in this relationship, you were always supportive of me. You were always supportive of Tony, even knowing the stuff that went down. You
Yeah.
never told me to give up.
No.
You always were on our side. And I don't know, it was just something that I feel like you need during times like this. Friends that won't judge you,
Thank you.
right? Because you just never know, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, when it comes to some things, I think that you and I have been through some of like the hardest times together,
Mhm.
but we've also been through like some of like the most amazing times. So I just want to, before I start, I just want to say thank you because I don't think I know but it's kind of like you for me or me for you. Like there's a special bond that we have because of the things that we went through. And especially with our journey, my journey with Tony, your journey with Care, and even in the past, like we've
Yes.
always been there for one another.
Of course, and with no judgment. Even when like
Exactly.
I needed judgment, you were so like good to just always be there. It
Hmm.
was it was it was just we needed each other and we got
Yeah.
through the hardest freaking year ever. So
Hmm.
and I'm so proud of you for like being willing to share with people what you went through because I feel like, if there's somebody out there that went through something similar and maybe is getting, let's say, because we know how your story ends. You got your
Hmm.
happy ending with him. But,
Hmm.
there might be somebody out there who got their happy ending but don't really have a supportive unit around them.
Exactly.
And hey, like it's not a bad thing. Like if you decided to like work things out, if it's
Hmm.
meant to be, it,
Hmm.
it'll be. So,
Exactly. And I think that's key too, is like your friends are your friends. And obviously, if they're in danger, let them
yeah,
know, right? But if you're going through things, trials and tribulations of a normal relationship, or you could tell the kind of person if they're loyal, if they're trustworthy, and they're just going through a hard time. Like, a lot of times people don't want to be judged. And you have to think like, okay, do I want to make my friend feel bad if they're going to stay with this person? Like sometimes
right.
you need to learn how to just keep opinions to yourself, but also say things. There's ways to say stuff as well, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and never give your friends like ultimatums. Like, well, if you're going to stay with them, I'm never going to talk to you again. Or you can come around, but I don't want them to come around, because people do that. And I hate
They
that crap.
sure do. Oh my
Yeah, that's so
God.
rude, because it's not your relationship. And honestly, if you don't want to be around them, then, just distance yourself from them, right? But don't make that an issue for, especially when someone's in the midst of these things, people can't think clearly,
No,
right?
you can't see
So,
straight. You're all about just trying to fix whatever's broken, even if it's not the best thing for you, which in my
mm-hmm,
case, that was my thing.
mm-hmm,
But so I had a different experience from what you're gonna share. But in
mm-hmm,
terms of like the heartache,
yeah,
it was
mm-hmm,
big. I was looking through pictures of us during that time. I had never seen you look that sad. Like seeing it now is kind of shocking
mm-hmm,
because you're such a
right?
happy-go-lucky person. And
Mm-hmm,
like there were times where we would go out to like Blondie's or whatever, and you were there in body, but you were
mm-hmm,
completely elsewhere, and you could tell it
mm-hmm,
in your face. And it's like it's jarring now to see.
yeah. Exactly. And it's like to where when I was looking over 2016, I straight up don't even like looking at photos. I
Oh, me
hate looking at
neither.
photos of me, of Tony. I just
Yeah,
can't handle it because it's so heartbreaking.
it just
Because you
brings
could
you
see it on our
back.
faces,
Hmm.
and it just shows how like we manifest things physically, you
Hmm.
know? Even if you don't share things with people, I'm sure people knew what we were
No,
going through, that
definitely.
or that something was going on.
Like for me, for example, and I'll keep it quick. I just
No
remember we
worries.
were at Ross
Mhm.
and I still hadn't told you, but I know you knew something was up with me because I was so down. I was like,
Mhm.
and then all of
Mhm.
a sudden we were in the aisle, kind of like near the line, like where it is
Mhm.
now, and
Uh-huh.
just blurted it out. Like I think I blurted out
Yes, I
that my
remember
ex was
that.
gonna move out, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
what?
Mhm.
And then like it was like I felt
Mhm.
so good
Yeah.
purging from because I was by myself. Like I couldn't saying it
Mhm.
out loud made it more real. And I didn't want to
Mhm.
say it to
Right.
like, and you've always been like not only my best friend, but also my therapist. And I would feel
Mhm.
like I was like ready to be like, I'm gonna let you down right now. Like,
Mhm.
everything that we built
Yeah.
is crumbling and
Mhm.
and hadn't even been married a couple months
Mhm.
and it was just like that moment of release and then you could not shake me like I was
Mhm.
like I need to see you every day. Like it was like I need to call you and you always picked up and like I'll never
Mhm.
forget when I found stuff I called you and I was
Mhm.
losing it and you were like I'm driving I'm far away but like I'll
Mhm.
come get you and I remember that was during I would just leave and I left and I was
Mhm.
walking in the dark I didn't give a
Yes.
shit what happened to
I
me.
know. I'm like, where the frick are you?
But it's like, you just don't care. But like,
Yeah.
I thankfully had you. And it's like, I can't
Mhm.
even imagine people that go through heartache by themselves, like with no one to
Yeah.
talk to, and
Exactly.
you went through
Mhm.
hell, Lean. And like,
Mhm.
ugh. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I just had to share that
Yeah.
because you were that moment where I just release. It was like the most cleansing moment
Mhm.
probably in my like top 10 in my
Yeah.
life like like you just were at
Yeah.
church and you confessed your sins to the priest or something.
But it's so true how people need to have someone that you could even, I think it's easier obviously for girls sometimes. And
Yeah.
like, especially in my case, like Tony had no one to talk to. And I think that was one of the reasons why I didn't turn my back on him when we were going through what we went through, is because I feel like if he had someone to talk to, it might have been easier for him to handle these things. But he
Yeah.
kept everything inside, right? And it was manifesting in other ways.
Hmm.
So, um, so anyways, I don't know if you've heard, there's a podcast actually that started last December, well, actually last month, but last year.
Oh.
It's TJ Holmes and Amy Robach. Do you know who they are?
Yeah. Aren't they the
Okay.
ones that had an affair?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so um, if you don't know who they are, they were Good Morning America anchors, and they had worked together for years. They were on the panel with Michael Strahan and Robin Roberts.
Yes.
And they were staples. Like you saw them pretty much every morning doing their little spiels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Amy Robach was actually married to Andrew Shue
Okay.
from Melrose Place.
Oh
And
my God, that's the name. How does
yeah,
he look now?
the same.
Wait,
He
hold
looks the
on.
same.
Andrew Oh, okay. I'm confusing him with
Hmm.
Andrew Keegan, but I do know who
Yeah.
Andrew Shue is. They actually kind of look related, but
Hmm.
anyways.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So, and Amy Robach, a lot of people know her too because she was on Good Morning America when she found out she had breast cancer. So,
Oh.
TJ Holmes, he's been around, very handsome guy. Like, I think he's 45 and she's 50, I believe. But they both were married, they both have children. And in November of 2022, there were pictures that were leaked of both of them kissing on like a weekend getaway.
Oh.
And like the media went crazy on them. And the last we all heard, they were happily married. right?
Yeah.
No one knew of their current status of their relationships. Therefore, the media and everyone else made speculations, about what had happened. So everyone created their own narrative. Both were
Yeah.
married, both had kids. Of course, their exes made their own statements and made them look like, they were doing everything wrong and they did this and they did that. Well, I listened to their podcast because they actually ended up being let go from Good Morning America because of this whole situation, because it was getting
Yeah.
too
They were
crazy.
like the scandal of it all. Okay, keep going. I'm
Exactly.
so riveted.
So I listened to their podcast because they had kept quiet for a good year. They, flew under the radar. They didn't say anything. You didn't see them anywhere. They let like everything kind of like simmer down. And listening to their podcast, oh my gosh, like literally I could relate so much to their story because little did we know they were already literally about to give statements to people, that they were getting divorced. They had already filed the paperwork. It was already done. Like they had already ended their relationships, but it wasn't something that they told everybody. They didn't feel they had to.
Hmm.
And people started making their own assumptions, saying that they were cheating, that they were doing this behind their spouses' backs, and all this other stuff. So they're there in this podcast and they're explaining what happened and the turmoil and stuff that they were going through and how they were victim of lies. Their characters were being dragged through the mud. They were being challenged day in, day out in regards to things that they were being accused of doing that they really didn't. They were just in love, right?
Yeah.
It was actually really
Picturing.
disheartening. It was sad to where even TJ Holmes had said that there was a point where he almost committed suicide
Oh,
because
wow.
of
I
the
didn't know
things
that.
that people were saying about him and the fact that he had lost his job. I mean, they both were at the top of their games. Like they had really good jobs. I mean, hello, they're on ABC 7, you know,
Yeah.
in this morning, like everybody wants that spot, right? And now the it gets pulled from them because they are in love, right? It's crazy. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, gosh, I could relate so much to a lot of the things that they were saying because when Tony and I got together, a lot of the same things happened to myself and to him where
Hmm.
we worked because we both worked together.
Right.
So Tony and I met in 2012 when we both were working at a mutual job. It's crazy because my dad actually worked with Tony before he even worked with me. My dad worked for the cemetery and he knew my dad. So when I first started there, he was like, "Oh my God." He looked at my name and he was like, "Oh my God, do you know John?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's my dad." And he was like, "Oh my goodness, like, wow, oh my gosh, your dad's great, blah blah blah," right? And I'm like, "Yeah, he is. He's pretty awesome." And of course, the first time I ever met Tony, everybody loved Tony.
Oh,
Everyone,
who doesn't
right?
love Tony?
He walked in, and I remember the first time I saw him, he walked in and he was like, this big guy, tall with like muscles. His like shirt was rolled up, the sleeves, and he like shook my hand, right? And when he shook my hand, I was like, "Oh my gosh." You know, I wasn't he was handsome, of course, but I wasn't like, "Oh my God, he's so dreamy," right? But there was an energy that I felt in his
Yeah.
handshake. And during that time, I was in beauty school and I had gone to school that night. My friend Veronica had asked me, "Oh my gosh, how was your first day?" And I was like, "Oh, it was great." I was like, "But it's crazy. I met this guy." I was like, and he shook my hand, and I don't know what it was, but this vision came into my head.
Oh,
And in my head, I thought, "Oh my God, this guy is going to be in my life forever." But I
oh,
don't know why. Because at that moment, I was in a relationship. And from what I knew, I mean, I didn't ask him, I just met him, but I was assuming he was in one, right? So I didn't think of anything like a relationship wise. I just didn't know why I thought that, right?
right.
So
Oh, that's
Veronica
so
was like,
powerful. Sorry. I'm
right?
just
Well, Veronica was like, "Well, there's something there. There's some sort of connection. And you may never know what it is, but eventually you may, who knows, maybe you'll find out." right? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. So I didn't think anything of it. So, as time went on, I befriended many people there. Tony became like one of my really good friends. We also worked with another girl that he had already been friends with for years, and I became pretty close to her as well.
Wait, is this
Um, hmm?
wait, who's this? Is this the Hoback? I mean, sorry.
Yes. That's okay. We ain't naming her, but
Okay.
yeah, that's her. So yeah, so that was her. So they were friends for years, right? And that's okay because she's called me a lot of other things, so that's
Oh.
nothing compared to what she's called me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is my story, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, the three of us were good friends. Like we worked together, we used to crack jokes. Like him and her used to go on like coffee breaks. They used to bring me back coffee. Like it was just a good time, right? The
Yeah.
whole time in the beginning of me working there, Tony and I, of course, were just friends, nothing more. Found out, of course, he was married, he was in a relationship. Um, he was completely off limits. Like that's the one thing for me is I don't go for married men. No, we were just friends,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And like I said, I wasn't even attracted to him like that.
Wait, and you are still with someone.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I was in a relationship and it was completely dysfunctional. And Tony and I never talked about our relationships at all. Like it wasn't even topic of conversation. It was sad in regards to me, but it was true. Like honestly, my current relationship was a complete rebound. I had gotten divorced and it had already been like 3 years prior, and I was just feeling lost and as though, like my life kind of was like going in reverse. My friends were getting married or some of them were having babies, and I felt like that's where I should have been. So after I got divorced, even though I was elated because I didn't want to be married, um, it was just a lot, you
Right.
know? And I was just seeking just escape. I was trying to escape reality, right? So, the rest is history. We know where that went. But working there, Tony and I worked closely. We spoke often, and we just spoke about everything under the sun. Food,
Uh,
sports, music, movies. We laughed about everything. We genuinely became really good friends, but we never like shared our telephone. It was or like the numbers. It was only at work, right?
okay.
Um, in October of that year, I found out that I was pregnant. And
My baby.
I know, during that time, I hadn't told anyone. The only one I told was my friend Gail, who I worked with. And um, I remember Tony had called me that day when I had just found out, like I had gone back to work the next day. And he was like, "Hey, I have a question. My wife needs a haircut." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He said that she had gotten a haircut and hated it and wanted me to fix it. And I really didn't want to because was sick. I actually had come down with a cold, but he's like, "It's okay, no big deal." Like he begged me to do her hair. And I'm like, "Okay." So I went, did her hair. The crazy part is so my mom actually worked with her for
Shit, I forgot
years.
about that.
Okay. So isn't this crazy how like we're all like tangled in this weird web, right?
Yeah.
So my mom worked with her for years and my mom actually and her knew each other pretty well. So I felt pretty comfortable with her, right? And going over it's kind of like I had already known her.
Okay.
So I went and I did her hair, and then when I left, Tony helped me to the car, had all my stuff, and I wasn't really feeling the greatest, and I actually ended up telling him that I was pregnant. And so he was super happy for me and he gave me a hug. And, as far as my pregnancy went, like Tony was very like a friend, like very took care of me. Like, did you eat? But nothing else. It was more just like caring, right? And
Right.
honestly, my pregnancy during that time with my current relationship, it was horrible. I didn't love him anymore, and I don't think I ever did, right? It's more just convenience, and I didn't wanna be with him, but hello, I was pregnant, and I didn't wanna give up either because now I'm pregnant, I needed to in my mind, needed to try at least for my child.
Right there, I think everyone can relate to that as well.
Mhm,
And also, I meant to interject and say that when you were disappointed about your marriage ending, you were happy and elated, but you were like, "All my friends are having, they're
mhm,
married, they're having kids. Am I failing if I
mhm,
leave this marriage. So like
Right.
I feel like you wanting to try for your child is a very common and noble thing to do. So I don't think that
Oh,
was bad at all.
yeah. And I had like in me, I'm like, okay, I have to try. Right.
Hmm.
And I did. So, I had speculations too of like infidelity and stuff like that. And when your gut's telling you something, it has to be true. There's something
Yeah.
going on, right? And, which I know now pretty much was 100% true. And honestly, at that point, I didn't even care. But once I gave birth, I gave it a few months for the sake of the baby. But I had already checked out. Unbeknown to me during that time as well, Tony and his wife were actually going through their own issues and things were not okay. Long story short, he ended up separating with her when I was pregnant or when I had the baby. But he was still living at home.
But and also he was such a supportive person to you, not to say that he was trying to
Mhm.
be inappropriate at you because you were
Right,
pregnant
no.
and he was so supportive. Like he
Mhm,
would bring you like
mhm.
treats and things, whereas your partner that you guys were crumbling, like you guys were already
Mhm.
done, but like
Oh,
he
yeah.
wouldn't even like give you the time of like wouldn't help you or make
Oh,
you
no. Not at all. To where, like, how you hear people get baby monitors where you could hear the heartbeat?
yeah.
So I got one and I went up. I remember one day he was sleeping and I went up and I was like, "Hey, do you want to hear the heartbeat?" And he was like, "I'm tired." Like little things like that. Never went to an appointment with me. Never, like nothing. The
That
day
hurts
that
me.
I had the baby, literally he left me to go sell a car and I had no clue where he was. That was really the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And when I called him, he's like, "Well, where's your parents?" I said, "They're not here." And he's like, "Well, figure it out." And I literally had just had a C-section,
Oh
have a
my God.
crying baby, and have to go to the bathroom, but I can't
Oh,
bend down by myself. So I'm like, that was literally the end of it all,
yeah,
right?
bye.
Exactly. But Tony, you're right. He was completely supportive, like just, and he was like that with everybody. He was just very sweet, had a good heart, and just a really
Yeah.
good friend. Um, so about 3 or 4 months after I had Presley, we ended up having a really big argument, and I was really looking for an out. And it was a perfect time to just be like, "Sayonara, sucker," right? Because I
Hmm.
was like, I'm done, right? So I felt bad because obviously he didn't have a place to go, but I told him it's done. There's like no chance of us ever repairing this. I tried for the baby. You could still be in her life if you want, but other than that,
Hmm.
And, you know, I, I, I don't want to say he was surprised. I don't know, but it is what it is, and we ended it, so it was over. Um, as for Tony, though, he was going through his own things behind the scene. Things had transpired. He ended up separating from his wife, and he had told me when I had got back to work. So this is probably about 4 months after this had happened between him and his wife, and he told me how it went down, but he didn't tell me exactly. Like, I never asked him. I was never
Right.
the one looking for like answers or being like, "Oh my gosh, you're getting divorced?" Like trying to push it, you
Were you
know?
curious though?
No, I wasn't. I didn't even because I wasn't interested in him at that
Okay.
time.
Still
Like,
not. Even with
no.
him being like super like caring
No.
and tending to your like, he stepped in, not romantically at this point. No one's
Right.
because you guys are going through your crap, but like
Mhm.
he was a supportive person in your life. So
Oh, of
like
course.
still like nothing made you like, wow, like nothing yet?
No, in my head, I was like, gosh, you know, um, before I had the baby, like the day before I went into my C-section, he had called me just to give me like good luck. I hope everything goes well. And I had been crying because they had
Oh,
switched the date of my C-section, so I was having like a panic attack. And to be honest, he was the only one that was able to calm my nerves. And nobody in this world has ever been able to do that other than my dad. So that right there. gave me some sort of like, huh. And I remember at that time I called my friend Veronica after and I was like, this is so weird. Like I couldn't figure it out because that was the thing is that I knew that I didn't know at that point he was having issues at home. But I told her, I said, I don't know what it is. Like maybe in a perfect world, like if he wasn't with someone, if I wasn't with someone, I really feel like we probably would be together. Like there's something, right? But even then, I'm like, I even told her, I remember telling her, but I don't even know if that's what it is. But there's something about him that is different, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
couldn't, yeah, and I couldn't put my finger on it because I didn't look at him in that way because of the fact that he was married. So it didn't
Yeah.
even cross my mind, right? But I knew that there was something special about him. Of course, I felt super comfortable with him,
Yeah, he's amazing.
um, yeah, and it's just every time that we were together, like he just made me laugh. It was a situation and a relationship that was so just pure. It
Pure.
was it was effortless, and you know how that is. I mean, that's how it was with Kara,
Yeah.
right? Um, so, as months passed, Tony and I, our friendship, it became stronger.
Hmm.
Like like I said, I never asked him, "Oh, how are things in the marriage department?" I never did
But
that.
you knew.
But I knew. But it
Okay.
was kind of like not an elephant in the room, but I didn't want to overstep my boundaries because it was like, I don't want him, maybe he doesn't want to talk about it. So if he wants to talk about it, he can ask me, you know?
Okay.
So when he would bring it up, he would say, what should I do? He was coming from a different relationship, I mean, he just got 20 years married. That's a long time, and like I said, I go, you have a kid together who was already an adult. I said, but it doesn't make it any easier, right?
Right.
I go, but that's a long time. I was like, try, is it worth trying? Is it worth fighting for? you know and that's pretty much the extent of what I told him. Whereas the other friend, because he did tell the other friend that we had worked with, she was the one that was asking him, oh, any updates? Have you filed for divorce yet? Are you guys separated? Are you still living together? And I've got Tony so oblivious, because in my mind I'm like, why are you so inquisitive, right?
Hmm.
Whereas Tony's like, oh, she's just being supportive, putting her hand on his knee. Are you
Oh,
okay?
please, like that hoe ever had a shot in hell.
Exactly. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, you didn't see anything? I mean, because now when, he told us how she was, I was like, oh my God. But anyways, so
Thirsty. Sorry.
Co- completely. It's so funny how just things are. As time went on, Tony and I actually got a lot closer, and we ended up exchanging numbers during the time when I was on maternity leave because he wanted to check on me when after I had the baby. So, I gave him my number. We still didn't text much. It was just like he was just like, "Oh, how's everything going?" Or he'd tell me something that happened at work, right? Um, but after that, after I knew that he knew I was had broken up, he was obviously separated, but they were still living together, right? That was the
Yeah.
sticky part. But we got closer and we just spoke about life, things we did, his time in Japan, things he still wanted to do. He was in a real, like I said, really different position than I was. He had
Yeah.
been married for 20 years. That was a lot to unfold and definitely a lot to let go of. And let's just say I love Tony, but he wasn't the best at taking care of business, right? And like I said, I'm not going to get so much into this part because it's not my story to tell, but let's just say there was a lot of things that transpired. Okay. And
Okay.
when I say a lot of things, I mean, you know, be it's just there's a lot of things that were being blamed on put on me that wasn't my fault, right?
Hmm.
Um so a couple months down the road, Tony ends up telling me that he's in love with me.
Oh, you guys are
And
still friends.
yes, and I was in complete shock. I really was like, and it's crazy because people are probably like, "Oh, how did you not know?"
Oh.
Right? But like I said, I didn't. think of him in that way. Like, of course you think like, oh, he would be perfect, but I didn't think of him like that.
Yeah.
And I knew how much I cared about him and how amazing of a guy he was. And after I really started thinking about it, I realized, oh my God, like I feel the same way about him. Right.
Right.
So I had told him, let's meet up. We met at the beach and I said, let's talk and discuss some things. I told him that before we even were even to like think or go down this path, um, I needed for him to clean up his side of the fence and do
Hmm.
things right. I wasn't going to get involved with anyone that was, still in a relationship or still had strings attached. Even though he was separating or separated, it's funny how people pass a lot of judgment because technically, obviously, they're still married, right?
Right. But okay.
Um,
Yeah.
to me, and I'm not saying this because this was the situation I'm in, but I want your thoughts on that stuff because, you've been in a situation too where you were married, but not divorced yet.
Yes.
And how do you feel about getting in a relationship when you're still not divorced, but you're obviously nothing's gonna come of it? You're already done.
So it was okay. So when I healed, I went into my what I call my hoe era because you need to
Mm-hmm.
rebound. So there was
Of
no problem
course.
with that because clearly my ex was in her rebound, her hoe phase prior to our marriage. So that's
Uh-huh.
neither here nor there. But yeah, I it's hard, especially if you're still living together, but not
Mm-hmm.
really. It gets messy. You feel I'm a very loyal person. I don't cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Same
it's not in
here.
me. And I felt guilty.
Mhm.
Why? I don't know. And then
Yeah.
when me and my beauty fell in love, it wasn't planned,
Mhm.
obviously. And
Right.
I was dating around but still married legally,
Mhm.
separated. Um, yeah, it wasn't like till a couple months into our relationship, we realized this is it for us. Like we want to be
Mhm.
with each other, that I officially filed for divorce. And it was touchy because people were, assuming that we had always been together
Mhm.
behind the scenes or
Of course.
and because we were friends for so long, we were always together. And it's
Mhm.
like, so I had to deal with that. And it still hurts me, like, well,
Mhm.
I'm lying. It doesn't hurt me anymore because I'm healed. Sorry, I was trying to be all like woke, but no.
And you knew it wasn't true, so they can all go fuck off.
Yeah. And for a while, like, I was so wanting to clear my name and I wanted to hold
Mhm.
a big sign and say, "Hey, I tried."
Yes.
Okay? But you can't bounce back from something like that. And
No.
I always go back to that question you said, if you forgive and you move on, great, I'll support you. But do you see yourself at family gatherings, like on your side, people that you've told, like
Mhm.
can you see it really like being all
Yeah.
hunky dory? It all that always stuck
Exactly.
with me. And it was like, no, I can't. Like, so
Mhm.
yeah, it was hard because people just were, oh wow, she was your bridesmaid too. Like we get that
Yeah.
the whole thing to
Mhm.
this day. Like we like to tell the story and people are like,
Mhm.
damn, you got she was in your wedding. I'm like, yes,
Mhm.
but they know who Angel at least is, and
Right.
Angel's like the most pure person to walk the earth. So of course, if
Exactly.
Angel's in the scenario, then everything was on the up and up. But
Mhm.
yeah, people suck. People with their
Yeah.
assumptions, and it's like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, you're not in this. You don't know what's going on.
No.
You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't
Exactly.
know that Tony was miserable,
Mhm.
and for years
Mhm.
in a loveless marriage,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, his child or
Exactly.
whatever, because that's what
Mhm.
parents do sometimes. They sacrifice
Mhm.
their lives and loves for their kids.
Exactly.
So, yeah, there's more reason. It's not always just like people are cheating or out of
Mhm.
convenience. Just
Exactly.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
No.
Sorry. Did I answer your question? I'm so mad.
Yes, you did. It was perfect. And it's true. People make sacrifices and people may, because honestly, if I were to have looked at Tony and when I did before we even got together, I thought he had a great relationship. I would have never known what it was really like. And it was because he put on a brave face and he did it for his child, which many people do in this world. It's not an uncommon thing, you know? And it's just it's sticky. But anyways, I loved your answer. Thank you very much. But in the end though, after we got together and we did all this stuff, did it go as we thought it would? Hell no, it didn't, right?
Mm,
It did not. Fast forward to January 3rd, 2014, Tony and I became official and we went on our first date.
yeah,
And yes, and Steph took care of Presley for me.
I sure did. He even got
Went
ready.
to her house.
Didn't you change
Yes,
bras at my
I
house?
sure did. I changed everything, right? Can't have no stale clothes from work. Hell no, right?
You wore a white blazer. You looked so pretty. I'll never
Thank
forget. And I
you.
feel like there was some turquoise involved somewhere.
Probably. I think I had a turquoise necklace on.
That's what it was.
Yes, very
Yeah.
good. And it's crazy because of course we work together, but we were in two completely different departments. He was outside, I was inside, right? But as soon as work got wind of us together, um, it was not good. There was speculation. Okay, so the friend, remember the girl,
Oh,
that
that.
we were all, yes, that we were mutual friends with. So there was speculation that she actually had feelings for him for a long time, and he had no clue. Neither did I, right? Because he always thought of her as like one of the guys, like a friend,
Right.
nothing like
It
that.
sure looked like it. Ooh.
But
Ooh.
we wanted to tell her ourselves because we actually really cared about her. And it's something that Tony and I had talked about. But, news travels fast. And in the workplace, she had found out in another way, actually through Tony's ex. And when I came to work one day, she walked up to me and I was about to say hello. But before I could, she goes, all I got to say is, of all people, why Tony? Why not? Right? Now, who the hell would even say that? Like, why, if you don't have feelings for someone, why are you so caught up? Like, why are you so upset? Like, what does that even mean?
Wow.
Right? So, from that point on, this person spread vicious and crazy ass rumors about me. Okay, me, not Tony, but me. Okay, she dragged my name through the mud and tried, and keyword tried, to make my
Mm-hmm.
life a living hell at work. I went to work every day with people whispering behind my back,
Yeah.
calling me a homewrecker, a whore, just to name a few. Okay. So my good friend Gail, she worked with me at the front and she told me, she goes, I remember distinctively, she told me, honey, I don't know how you do it. How do you come to work every day knowing what people are saying behind your back? And even, I even had one hoe one time, okay, come up to me
Ooh.
and say, I'm just going to be real. Is it true you and Tony are together? Because if so, I don't blame you. I would fuck him too. Who the hell says that? So that set me off. Okay. And you know me, I don't get mad. But at that moment, I was like, okay, what type of fucking circus am I in? What am I living in here? Okay. And where do people think that they can come up to me and assume that I did something wrong and that I'm a freaking homewrecker?
And also,
Like,
are people going to Tony? I'm sorry, did we miss that part?
exactly, right? No, no one ever went to Tony. I looked at this hoe and I said, I don't give a fuck what people think.
Oh,
I
she
did nothing wrong. Okay,
cussed.
2024, you're I can walk through those front doors of my job every fucking day and come to work with my head held high. Why? Because I didn't do a damn thing wrong. Okay. Just because Tony didn't release a freaking statement that his marriage was done and heading for divorce, somehow I had to be a villain in this story. And this is usually the case, right?
Yeah.
Um, Truth of the matter is that it was not my story to tell, nor it was my story to defend on any of this. I did nothing wrong. And like you said, I was the one that was getting the brunt of all of Tony's misdoings. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for me, Tony would have had no clue any of this was being said or done because he had no clue what was going on the outside. Nobody was bothering him, not even asking him questions. Everybody was coming to me and thinking it was okay to attack my character and make my life a living hell.
Oh my God.
So, as time went on, things cooled down and life became less chaotic, right? It took some time, but people got used to us, right? Tony and I became stronger through all of this. We would talk endlessly on the phone, falling asleep on the phone together, only to wake up with like one snoring on the other end. We found happiness that we never knew was possible. We laughed, we cried, we didn't take things seriously. He came into Presley's life when she was 6 months old and has been a pillar of strength for her ever since.
He sure has.
Um, yeah, I mean, he's amazing. Like, we would go on Sunday nights, like date nights to Lefty O'Doul's in the city, share like corned beef sandwiches, talk for
Mm.
hours over like Irish coffees. We would dance in Levi Square while quizzing each other on like Brady Bunch trivia. Tony would like be driving. He'd like turn off to like the side of the street. He'd turn on the radio real loud and like pull over, and we would dance in the street of San Francisco to songs like West End Girls by Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, that's the jam.
Okay, right?
Oh my
Yes, it's
God.
amazing. We would take long walks in the
Oh,
Presidio and on Union Street, like spontaneous road trips to
chills. You're bringing me back.
Disney,
You're bringing me back.
random midnight trips to the casino, and we don't even like burn money. It was just like a way for us to go out, right? We fell in love with wine tasting in
Oh,
Napa. Like, this was our life, our happiness, and it was freaking amazing. We went to Hawaii in the spring of 2015. It was the most amazing time of our lives. Our relationship was unbreakable, or so we
hmm.
thought. Tony talked marriage. I never did. I was happy just living in the moment. I knew he still had things going on his side that he was clearly ignoring. Little did I know that the next year was going to be bringing me major heartache and heartbreak. Behind the scenes, life wasn't all daisies, hearts, and daffodils. Okay.
Oh, nice
Tony had a
combo.
lot. Thank you. Tony had a lot of mess to clean up in the background and a lot of drama, a lot of hate and a lot of chaos on his end and his side of the street. And I constantly told him, life is great and life is amazing with us, but I'll always be here. Do me a favor and take care of business. I never want anything to ruin what we have. And I was afraid that what was going on and, like basically what was going to happen if I didn't pump the brakes at some point, like I could lose him, right? And when you're happy and in the midst of like a euphoric moment in times like that, it's really hard, to take care of things that should be handled. And the more time you ignore it, the bigger the issue gets. So
Yeah.
that's when 2016 happened. And Tony and me, we had our life together, but also had a lot of pressure from his past. His mom was also sick too, and he needed to be there for her. And little did he know that his life was about to even be more insane. It seemed like overnight that Tony changed on me. I never did. I loved him more than I ever could. He was my soulmate. I felt it in my bones and every part of my being. He gave me more happiness and purpose than I could ever have imagined. But I also saw a man that was struggling, that was depressed, and a man that was lost, a man that had no one to talk to.
Wow.
One day when we were in our room and I hugged him and I said, I love you. And he didn't hug me the same way. He looked at me and it was weird. He wasn't the Tony I knew. He was depressed. He looked at me in my eyes and he said, you tell me you love me. And this is the hardest thing for me to say. But when you tell me that, I don't feel the same way about you. It was at that moment that I knew that everything had changed and something wasn't right anymore. From that moment on, I felt as though I was chasing something that no longer wanted me. You know that scene in My Best Friend's Wedding when
Oh,
her best friend tells her, Um, you're chasing him, but who's chasing you?
Yeah.
And it made me think of that because it was true, right? Like here I am loving him, but he's not giving me that in return. And he said, it wouldn't be fair for me to continue our relationship with you if it wasn't going to be 100%. With that statement came coldness. He would ignore my texts, lack of caring on his part. Our relationship was completely one sided. It was something that I had never felt from him. He was always the one to always be checking in on me. And now I'm the one checking on him with crickets on the other end. Like what is going on? Um, in that moment though, where he told me he didn't feel the same way, it happened in early January of 2016, and many things transpired that year. We argued, we fought, and we even broke up. I needed to protect my heart, but most importantly, I needed to protect Presley. And it was at that moment that I understood a saying that my dad told me, which was, you could love someone, but sometimes it's never enough. And it was true. I needed to let him go so he could understand and realize the problems weren't us, but it was actually going to be him that needed to realize and figure all this stuff out himself. It was in that moment that I realized what heartbreak meant and what heartbreak felt like. And it felt like a death. I found the love of my life, the example of what I wanted to be with, and how I could see my future, but all was crumbling right before my eyes. I never cried so much in my life, cried so much that I had no more tears to cry. I woke up every day feeling as though I was a zombie, and I felt though I had no purpose in life. I felt dead inside. But what made it easier was that I was able to bond with someone in a way that I think you could understand, and that was you. Like I said earlier, God put you in my path, for my whole life, but especially during that time where, we were able, in a crazy way, go through heartbreak together, you know.
Yeah.
Um, like you said, we've seen each other at our lowest, and it was crazy. Like we both were over there crying, ridiculously in our cars.
Drinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Oh.
escaping reality in every way possible. Um, but by the end of 2016, why can't I say that word? By the end of 2016, things started to change a bit. I started to let go, and I realized that I was putting the importance of someone that wasn't giving me the love, in return. Um, I needed to actually let him go. I was putting all my happiness into him. And the person that I should have been putting all my importance in was Presley. I started to let go of him. I started to ignore him, and I tried to move on. I didn't give up. I still had hope, but that statement of how they say, in order to see if it's meant to be, you need to let people go. That's what I had to do with him, and that's what I did. Once I did that, everything actually started to change. He started coming around more, and you started to realize, or I started to realize how much, or he started to realize actually how much he needed me.
Mm-hmm.
His mom was really sick. She was actually dying. And even going through that, um, I still needed to put my feelings and my hopes on the back burner in order for him to feel all the feels. And in order for him also to realize that he needed to deal with the circumstances that were laid out in front of him. And by doing that, he realized that I was going to be the only one there for him, because I was from the get go. The people that made his life a living hell for the past year or two, and that were determined to separate us, could not break what we had. Life got better, our bond became stronger, and life was so much better than it was before. When we first began a relationship, things
Yeah.
started to actually fall into place. We got back together, and we never wanted to go back to where we were. He promised never to give up on us ever again. And even to this day, Tony still asks, like, why didn't you give up on me? What was it that made you not give up on us? And our whole relationship has been a testament to our love and how much we've been through as a couple. And I was never the kind of person just to hang around. If I wasn't happy, I left. But Tony made me happy in a way where, I don't know, just the circumstances that things were just getting in the way. And I saw that it wasn't his fault. You know, I allowed us and I allowed him to work through the things he needed to work through in the beginning. And when he finally took care of business, everything started to fall into place and make sense. In August of 2019, we took a trip to Hawaii and brought Presley, and he took me to my favorite beach called Baldwin Beach, and that's where Tony asked me to marry him. I
Oh.
never wanted to pressure him into marriage. I wanted it to come from him. And at that point, we had already been together for around 7 years. And even then, I was just happy to be in his presence and being given the opportunity to spend my days with him. You know, marriage was more or less just the icing on the cake. We ended up getting married at the height of the pandemic in Maui in November of 2020. And it was amazing. It was spiritual and it was perfect. You know, the timing for us was perfect. It was just us. There was no one there. Um, you know, it definitely wasn't how we planned it, but it ended up, I feel like, the way it was supposed to be. With everything that we had gone through in the past, you know, throughout our relationship, I think we needed to solidify our union in the way that we did and during the time
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
Looking back on the past, like, 10 years, and even through like, you know, November 11th to me will always be an amazing day. It's our wedding anniversary. But January 3rd for some reason will always be number one in both of our books.
Oh.
You know, I told you all this story mainly because, for a long time I thought I would never find love again, and I became really cynical. But no matter how old you are, no matter how like what you've been through, I just want to say that everybody deserves love and don't give up. You know, our hearts can be deceiving. Our hearts can tell us things that tell us lies because of maybe things we've mixed with what we thought was real and maybe it wasn't, whatever it may be. But you got to trust your instinct. And if I didn't trust my heart during that time in 2016, I don't know where I would be today. I was thinking
Yeah.
back, right? I mean, I was thinking back on my relationship these past couple days as my anniversary was coming up, and I was like, gosh, if I were to like change the directory of my life, and maybe I wouldn't have worked somewhere that I worked, or if I wouldn't have, maybe what if I would have gone to like an Ivy League college and, went to on a different route on my career? Like, would I have actually have met Tony, and would have this even transpired? I don't know, you know, um, but honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change where I'm at now. I wouldn't, if I had to go through all that again, if I had to go through 2016 again to know that this is where I would be able to still be today, oh God, I would do it 10 times, despite what
Yeah.
I went through. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh, I would go through all of that heartache, all that
Yeah.
heartbreak, the crying, the like not leaving my room, all of it, if it meant that I
Hmm.
would be where I am today with the person that I'm meant to be with, like
Hmm.
hands down,
Yeah,
all that pain.
exactly. No, completely. And I think that's a testament to just finding your true love, you know? And when, like you said earlier, you made that comment where when people are telling lies about you and it's not true, you have this. And I stayed quiet for so long. Like, I never said anything to anybody that challenged me or tried to come at me with these lies about how they thought my life was unfolding or what they thought I did to ruin someone else's relationship. The
Yeah.
thing is that don't blame me, blame the other person, blame the person that is in it, you know, and it's hard to be quiet. And you do feel like you have to kind of like,
Defend yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and to go through that and stay silent, it takes a special type of person because it's hard. And, saying my story and telling like our love story and everything, it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm only saying this to like get back at people or anything like that. It's nothing. It's just like I've stayed quiet for so long, and it's not a matter of me trying to like make people look bad or anything like that. But honestly, it's our story to tell, and life is crazy, but I'm glad I took a chance on this, on
Yeah.
love, on, I could have just sat there and been like, I ain't doing it no more,
Hmm.
you know?
You could have. A lot
And
of people would have.
hmm yeah. Or walked away when things got tough, you
Yeah.
know? And that's why I say you got to trust your instinct,
Hmm.
and you'll know if it's the right path and if it's not. Life, I don't know. When I look back on my relationships, I think, okay, the other relationships, I did not stand for it. But this one, for some reason, I stayed,
Yeah,
right?
something spoke to your heart and you're like, nope,
Hmm
this is who I'm supposed to be with, so it's worth fighting the battle for.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think, all in all, like when you see things transpire, whether it be on the media or someone right? Don't make assumptions,
Hmm.
like be kind. Like when you think like it's hard going through things when people are talking lies about you or just, these are moments where people need you most. And just be nice and realize it's not your business. You know,
Exactly.
it's people always want to put their 2 cents in things, and for what?
Like it affects them. It's like the same, like, so not only do people have to put their 2 cents in on your relationship, it's the same thing with like driving. Like there's people
Mhm.
obsessed with the fact that I don't drive. It's like, why are you paying for my insurance? Are you paying for gas? Are you buying me a car? Do I ask you for rides? It's the
Yeah,
same, it's like
exactly.
every aspect of somebody's life. Doesn't
Hmm
just have to be relationships. It could be, why are you buying a house,
Yeah.
right now? Like, are you paying for
Uh-huh.
my mortgage? Like, what are you doing? Ugh,
Exactly. No, and you make a good point, Steph, because like for real, who the hell cares if you drive or not? If are you asking them for rides?
exactly.
Ugh,
Exactly. It's like,
I
wow,
can't.
I did not know I had that much of an effect on your feelings.
But it's
Enough
true though,
said.
in every aspect. Stay in your lane, bitches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. People, it's funny how in today's world, people always have to just wiggle their way into other people's lives and they just have no place to be in it.
Yeah, exactly. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Read a book. Take up a
Exactly.
hobby.
Amen. Take up a hobby. Okay. I can't. Anyways, so that's my story. And I just, wanted to dedicate it to Tony.
Oh,
Even though he's probably like, well, God, you really made me look bad.
no.
No, he was, and that's the thing is, you know what? He was going through a lot, and I can't. I don't know what I would do if I was in his position, and he handled it the best way he can. And check on your guy friends. That's all I gotta say. Is a lot of guys don't have an outlet, and I would like to see that more. I would like to see more guys being more supportive of one another, or being like, "Hey, bro, are you all right? Is everything going on?" Like a lot of guys are like, "Oh no, I don't want to get involved." You
Hmm.
know, it's not like you're getting involved, but it's okay to check in.
Yes.
You know,
Agreed.
like you think a lot of the people that commit suicide or like go through really hard times, like you wonder, like when you think of Twitch, like
Hmm.
even his own wife said that he wasn't one to really talk to people. And he didn't feel like he had anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if he had a guy that he could turn to, you know, where he could feel a little vulnerable, would he still be here today?
Yeah.
So just check on people.
Hmm.
Don't, if you feel like someone is having a down moment or, not, or just sensing someone's not okay, check on them.
Check on them and to overstep either. And
Exactly.
just know your boundaries. And if the person wants to vent to you or whatever, like be a supportive person. Don't be so
Pushy.
critiquey all the
Mm-hmm.
time. It's just, yeah.
Yes. People need to learn how to not overstep their boundaries. A simple like, "Hey, are you okay? Or is everything okay?" Just let if you need to talk, I'm here. That's it. You don't need to be like, "So what's up? What happened between you and Selena?"
Yeah,
I heard she
exactly.
was over here with so and so. Like, Let them open up to you, right?
Exactly.
But anyways, we'll see what next Fridays with Nin brings. I actually wanted we were talking a little bit about mental health before we
Mhm.
got on here, and I actually think that would probably be a one of the good ones to talk about. We have some good juicy topics coming up in this coming 2024
Oh
year.
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
excited.
I'm excited. Yay, I can't wait for more.
Yes. But thanks, Steph. Thanks for your input, and thanks for always being a cheerleader of us.
Of course, always. I'm waving the little #1 sign at my phone finger and got
Mm.
my pom
Your phone
poms.
femur. You're funny. I love it. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you letting me speak my
I
truth.
love it. Speak on, speak on, speak on. Float,
Okay, shoot.
float on.
Oh, I love that song.
I know, me too.
But anyways, but thank you, Steph. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for being so just open and just raw, it's needed.
Yeah.
Because again, we never know who's out there struggling with the same thing. So I think it's nice, like when you're like, oh shit, I'm not alone, and you're not.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
hopefully this
Exactly.
gave you like a warm hug and some strength. So, and if
Exactly.
like we're sending you guys strength and support always, and you can always DM us. We're your
Hmm.
big sisters, and yeah.
Definitely. I like that, big sisters. And yes, true love always prevails.
It sure does.
Hmm. Yeah. And when you've been through what we've been through, you want to scream it from rooftops.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's very healing. That's why.
hmm, it is.
So,
Exactly. I
my
agree.
puppies know that we're wrapping up.
See, they always do. I love
They
it.
always do. But yeah,
They're
that was,
like, come on.
I know, like wrap it up, sister. No, that was so good, Neen.
Uh,
Thank you so much. And
mm,
I can't wait for the
thank
next
you.
one.
I know, me too. I can't wait for crime
Crime talk,
talk.
crime talk, crime
Mhm.
talk. Yes. So
Well,
yeah, we'll be back next week, guys. But happy Friday to you all. Happy Fridays with Neen, everybody.
yes. Happy Friday. I agree. And I'm trying to
Oh,
think of my saying.
you're adorable. But I think I'm gonna, unless you have anything else to add, I think I'm gonna stick
No.
to my spiel until I come up with something better. So catch you on the flip side.
Peace out, buddies.
I like it. See, it's so us.
I know.